Your creative process is broken. I'm sorry to say it. And because it's broken, you're missing out on ideas, wasting time, and not getting the results you deserve. So today, I'm going to show you why it's broken and how to fix it. Here's the thing. Even the most talented creatives struggle, not because they lack skills or vision, but because their process works against them. So let's break down what's going wrong and fix it with a few simple changes that can completely transform how you create. Let's start with a mistake most of us have made, starting too big. You probably know the feeling, right? You're excited about a project, you're full of ideas, but somewhere along the way, you just lose steam, and that spark of inspiration burns out and the project ends up half finished. Here's the reason. We try to take on too much at once. You know that. It's easy to think, I need to outline the entire book, or I'll map out this video series today. But when we try to tackle everything at once, it feels overwhelming, and that's when procrastination takes over. What's the fix? Stop focusing on finishing. Instead, focus on starting. Just starting. It's what I call the micro-starting technique. Let me explain. Instead of working for hours, block out 10 or 15 minutes. That's it. The goal isn't to finish a section or complete a step. It's just to build momentum. If you're writing, use those minutes to jot down some ideas or write a single rough paragraph. If you're painting, make just a few broad strokes. The point is to begin, not finish. Keep it specific. Don't think I'm working on my book. Think I'll brainstorm ideas for this one character. With a specific task, starting feels manageable, not overwhelming. And make it easy to start. Use environment triggers to build a habit. Maybe it's, turning on the exact same music playlist every time or working at the same time every day. These little tiny cues train your brain to shift into creative mode. Here's a little secret. Stop while you're still in the flow. Now, that might sound strange, but it actually works. When you leave something unfinished, you'll be really eager to come back to it, and that creates a rhythm that keeps your momentum going. This isn't about finishing a chunk of your project in one sitting. It's about getting the ball rolling. Once you've got momentum, it's easier to tackle the next piece. The next problem is one we've all done. Editing while you're still creating. It kind of feels like you're being productive, right? You fix this line in your story here, or you tweak a color there, but here's the truth. When you edit while you create, you're interrupting your own flow. You stop your ideas from coming and the work just slows down. The solution is to separate the process into phases. Think of it like cooking. You don't start decorating the cake before you've baked it. Each phase has a job, and keeping them separate makes everything smoother. The first phase is the free flow phase. This is where you get all your ideas out. It's going to be messy, and that's okay. If you're writing, this is your rough draft. Grammar doesn't matter. If you're designing something, this is the stage for, sketches and loose concepts. When I'm coming up with ideas for videos, sometimes I'll just dictate into a notes app on my phone when I go for a walk. The goal is to get as much as possible out of your head and onto the page or the phone or the screen or whatever you're using. Next is the structural phase. Now you take what you've created and you start shaping it. If you're writing, you're organizing the draft into sections. For videos, you're arranging clips in the right order. This is about making sure everything works as a whole, but don't worry about details just yet. Finally, there's the polishing phase. This is where you refine the details. You fix the grammar, you adjust the pacing, you add video transitions, you tweak the colors, but you only polish when the structure is solid. If you try to polish too early, you're going to waste time fixing things that you'll end up changing later. This phased approach works, but it does take discipline. You have to fight the urge to fix things right away. A good way to do this is to set a timer. Give yourself just 20 minutes to create. No editing allowed. Just let the ideas flow. And here's the trick. Embrace the mess. Let your rough draft be ugly. Let your sketches just look chaotic. The messier it is, the freer you've allowed yourself to be. Then when it comes time to edit or fine-tune your work, have a plan. Don't just fix whatever catches your eye. Use a checklist to stay focused. When I'm editing a video, for example, I go through it in passes looking for very specific things. First, I get the dialogue in the right order. Then I cut out any repeats or mistakes. Then I fine-tune the gaps between sections and, so on and so forth. And I do it the same way every time so I don't fall down a rabbit hole of distractions. If I really want to add a special effect or something in a certain part, but I'm only at the rough edit stage, then I'll just make a note of it for later. Otherwise, I'm going to be spending hours playing around with special effects and might not actually use them. All right, I know you're not going to want to hear about this next problem. It's like the final nail in the coffin of your creative process. We're talking about distractions. They're a real problem, more than like any other time in recorded history. And it's not just social media, though that's a huge part. Phones ringing, email notifications popping up, squirrels running past the window. Before you know it, the flow is gone and you're stuck. Here's the thing. Distractions aren't just annoying, they break your focus. And for creatives, focus is everything. It's how you get into that state where ideas are just flowing and time seems to disappear. Without it, you get nothing done and you feel exhausted anyway. The fix? Well, you have to design your environment and your habits to minimize distraction before you even start. It's not about willpower, thank God. It's about setting yourself up for success. Start with the obvious. Turn off notifications. All of them. Your phone doesn't need to buzz every time someone likes a post or you get an email. If you're worried about missing something urgent, use Apple Screen Time or some other notification manager, but otherwise, let it all go until your work session is done. Next, simplify your workspace. The fewer tools and tabs you have open, the better. If you're writing, close everything except your document. If you're editing, focus on just the footage or the files you need. The more cluttered your workspace, the more cluttered your mind will feel. Remember that micro-starting technique I mentioned at the beginning? Start expanding those little blocks of time for work, but make them focused. No multitasking, no checking your phone, no quick breaks to scroll through social media. Distractions aren't just external, though. Sometimes the biggest distractions come from inside your own head. Maybe you're worrying about something else you need to do, or you're second-guessing whether the work you're doing is any good. Trust me, I go there all the time. But for that, I recommend a brain dump. Before you start creating, take a minute to write down everything that's on your mind. To-do lists, random worries, anything that's pulling at your attention. Once it's out of your head and on paper, it's easier to let it go and focus on the task at hand. Okay, I've been working hard helping you fix your creative process. I'm totally focused, no distractions. Now I'm going to go take my own advice and take a break. See you next time.